All right. Welcome in. It is A to Z Sports Prime Time here on a Tuesday night as we get ready to continue previewing the NFL draft. This is now one show from draft week for me. The next time I speak to you will be next Tuesday night, where we will be just 2 nights away from the Titans picking at first overall and presumably selecting Cam Ward with the first overall pick. But that does not mean there are not things that are intriguing for the Titans over the next 10 days or so leading up to the draft, because you've got that number 35. You've got potential trades on the docket. Are the Titans going to recoup an extra top 100 pick? All of that we still have to see. And then, of course, there's, curiosities of who actually falls to number 35 and where the Titans decide to go. We'll talk about some of that today. We're going to talk about the wide receiver situation, how okay we are with the Titans potentially reaching in the second round of the draft. But I want to start it off by talking about Jeffery Simmons and the Titans doing something with Jeffery Simmons that the Browns were scared to do with Myles Garrett. If you get where I'm going, we're going to talk Jeffery Simmons trades here on a Tuesday night. I know that might be a little blasphemous, a little sacrilegious, but we're going to get into it regardless. So go ahead, leave a like on the show and share the show. Welcome in to A to Z Sports Primetime here on a Tuesday. It is April 15th, tax day. Sucks for me. Bad tax day for me, Robert. I had a really bad tax day. Normally, I don't care. It was a tough year for me on April 15th. So not a great day, but we're going to have a great show. With the draft right around the corner. Like I said earlier, go ahead and share the show. Hit that share button on Facebook. Take that YouTube link. Send that to a friend, to a group chat. Find that Titans fan in your life. Get the word out there. Primetime is live that we're talking Jeffery Simmons trade. So you got to get in here. You got to hear this. You got to educate yourself before the NFL draft. I've been saying that leading up to the draft about everything here on A to Z Sports is if you want to be the most educated person in your friend group for draft night, if you want to know about all the prospects that could be there for the Titans in rounds 2, 3, 4, and so on, tune in to A to Z because we're talking about all of the possibilities right here. So leave a like, retweet us on Twitter X as well. We're segments to the show getting tweeted out segment by segment. Welcome in A to Z Sports Primetime. Not in the Zen Sports Studios. I'm not Buck Rising, but I am Sam Phelan with you on Tuesday nights all throughout the NFL offseason and presented to you, as always, by my friends at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford and Mount Juliet are online at tworiversford.com for more information. Zen Sports, that is your place to bet. You can probably get some pretty good odds right now on the NFL draft. So if you have any hunches, if you got any feelings in your bad knee about where these prospects are going to land, go and place those bets over on Zen Sports and use the promo code ATOZTN when you sign up in the Zen Sports app. If you're in need of a new workout program, TrueMav Fitness, that's the place for you. No workout is ever recycled or repeated at TrueMav. You can go to TrueMavFitness.com for more information. And, of course, our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. Your big truck wreck is their fight for justice. A crash can change your life forever, and they're here to help. Only a phone call away at Bart Durham Injury Law. Okay, let's get into this whole deal. Let's get into this whole Jeffery Simmons situation, which really sort of came to mind for me this week. Because in my eyes, the Titans now have an opportunity to do something with Jeffery Simmons that the Cleveland Browns were scared to do with Myles Garrett. A month ago, a little over a month ago, everybody would have said that the Browns were inclined to trade Myles Garrett before he signed his contract extension with the team. Myles Garrett had requested a trade, was expressing the idea that he was unhappy. He's getting up there in age, and as talented as he is, as dominant as he is, we also have to recognize that the Browns are at the very beginning of a rebuild. They don't have a quarterback. There's no end to the misery in sight. They currently have Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco on their roster. That's not going to get it done for the Browns, who were one of the NFL's worst teams last year and are currently sitting with the number 2 overall pick. Now, the Browns, sitting with this rebuild in front of them, hypothetically could have traded Myles Garrett. They could have catalyzed their rebuild Nothing helps a rebuild like trading a star player away. That it really injects some draft capital into organizations that desperately need it. And that is where I thought the Browns were going to go. Number 2 overall pick. You trade Myles Garrett, you get some extra first rounders and some high capital. You maybe take a quarterback in the draft. You start new, you start fresh, you build around your new QB. But the Browns got cold feet. The Browns couldn't pull the trigger. They refused to accept their current position. So they held on to Myles Garrett, and not only held on to Myles Garrett, gave him a contract that probably isn't worth its juice when you really look at Garrett's age and the Browns' current situation as an organization. I think more than likely the Browns are going to end up in purgatory, not really winning football games or contending, but paying Myles Garrett a lot of money to be a really good defensive player for them on a mediocre football team. That's what they've been doing for the last at least 5 years. Now, the Titans are in a slightly different but similar position with Jeffery Simmons. Going into this offseason, the Titans told you, we are not interested in trading Jeff. And they told that to you, and they told that to us. Everything I heard from the Titans coaching staff was that Jeffery Simmons trades not really realistic, not something they were looking to do. And I want to preface this conversation by saying that could still be the case. There is a possibility that the Titans have absolutely no intention or inclination to trade Jeffery Simmons whatsoever. But I've recently started to believe that it's less impossible than I once did. The Titans, who are in a similar position to the Browns in the sense that you just finished 3-14, you are entering or are in, for all intents and purposes, a rebuild. And as much as you might be optimistic about the idea of Cam Ward coming in and being the future, Cam Ward coming in and hopefully winning some games for you in year one, like the Jaden Daniels ceiling, it's a bit unrealistic. But I think there is obviously hope that you bring Cam Ward into this Titans team and, they can mess around and upset some teams and cause some trouble in the AFC. That is the hope, of course, but you have to recognize that you were the worst team in the NFL last year. Yes, this is live, Jack. We are live. I'm trying to get through my thoughts here. Don't worry, we will get the chat involved. So if you're the Titans and you're recognizing, okay, this is not going to be a one-year fix. We are multiple years here from really having the fix towards contention that you want. Jeffery Simmons is turning 28 this summer. And not only is he turning 28 this summer, like prime of his career, and I would think is not super happy. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know that if Jeff is super pumped about being a Titan or doesn't want to be a Titan whatsoever. But I am saying that if he wanted out in the current state of things, I don't think anybody could blame him. All of his friends are gone, right? His boy Vrabel's not the coach. Harold's gone. Danico's gone. Derrick Henry, who he was real tight with, he's gone. A lot of Jeff's friends, KB, Kevin Byard, he's gone, are no longer on the team. He's in the prime of his career. He spent a lot of time here. He got paid here, but this is a bad football team right now. And I think he wants to win. More than he wants to win, he also wants support. And the evidence of that is clear because Jeff has been online all offseason saying, hey, go get me Abdul Carter. Go get me Abdul Carter, which I have thought was peculiar, by the way. In a world where everybody is saying the Titans are taking Cam Ward at number 1 overall, you ask a superstar player for the Titans, hey, who you want at number 1? I would assume that you would pander and kind of be like, Cam Ward, of course. But no, Jeff has doubled, tripled down saying, I want a defensive player. This guy wants help. I think it would make sense for Jeff to want to go to a better defense that has more help on the defensive front, where he's more supported, a winner, go compete for a Super Bowl somewhere, use your prime years playing for a contender. If he wanted that, I don't think anybody would blame him. So I'm not saying he's unhappy, but if he did want out, I think it would make a lot of sense. And if you're the Titans, the goal the entire offseason has been get younger, get cheaper, get draft picks. Those are the three things. Mike Borgonzi, get younger, get cheaper, get draft picks. We've talked a lot about how the Titans only have 2 picks in the top 100. And after 35, it is a 68 pick break or whatever it is until the Titans pick next again at 103. I can think of a real easy way to get a top 100 pick in this year's draft. Jeffery Simmons. So there's an example, right? Like there's the baseline for how it could make sense for the Titans and for Jeff. And then it is supported by the Titans' recent draft preparations, what they have done. Here is a look at some of their top 30 visits. Defensive tackle, Cam Jackson. Defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott. Defensive tackle, Darius Alexander. Defensive tackle, TJ Sanders. Defensive tackle, Vernon Broughton. 5 defensive tackles on the top 30. Now, a top 30 visit does not mean the Titans are going to draft these players, but it also is not nothing. It's not insignificant. If you are doing a top 30 visit with a prospect, you at least have a baseline of interest in signing them or in drafting them. Otherwise, it's a waste, right? So the Titans are telling us something here. They have a interest, however big or however small, in the defensive tackles of this year's draft. And these are not throwaway guys, by the way. Consensus big board, defensive tackles. TJ Sanders is 61st overall, maybe a borderline round 2 guy. Darius Alexander, 52nd overall, maybe a round 2 guy. Omar Norman Lott, 82 overall, maybe a round 3 guy. Vernon Broughton, 131. Cam Jackson, 183. But they're looking into these round 2, round 3, round 4 defensive tackles. Okay, so maybe they're doing their due diligence. And honestly, that's what I think it is. I think this is the Tennessee Titans doing their due diligence in case they decide to pull the trigger on a Jeffery Simmons trade. Because let's be honest, there's no room for any of these guys. You have Simmons, you have Sweat. Somebody, Jeffrey said, we signed Sebastian Joseph Day too. Yeah, he re-signed. You have Keandre Coburn. You have Draymond Jones, who's an edge, but he can work inside too, like similar to the Danico Autry role that we've seen in Tennessee in the past. So you have plenty of pieces in terms of the defensive interior. There's really no more snaps to even go around. So why are you then, if you're the Titans, looking into defensive tackles? Well, to me, again, due diligence in case you decide to pull the trigger on a Jeffery Simmons trade. All of a sudden, I don't think this is as impossible as many people would like to believe. I think a lot of people hear the name Jeffery Simmons and they think, no way you're trading Jeff. But I think I'm starting to put puzzle pieces together where this could be a thing. Let me get you guys involved here with our first question of the evening, because I want to know what you think about this. So, what should the Titans do? Should the Titans consider trading Jeffery Simmons and drafting a rookie defensive tackle to replace him? What do you think the Titans should do at pick 35? Should they trade back from 35? Should they try to recoup an extra top 100? Should they consider this? Or is this a non-starter for you as a Titans fan? Let me know in the chat. While you guys do that, I'm going to let you know about something you all should consider. And that is checking out my friends over at Two Rivers Ford. Everywhere I go, I see a Ford Bronco on the road. There's so many options of Ford Broncos. That's the best thing about them. Color combinations, packages, trim levels, and it's exactly why the Two Rivers Ford team is inviting you to get to know the Ford Bronco. This right here is an open invite. Anybody out there, you don't even need to be in the market for a vehicle Two Rivers Ford is a team of Bronco experts on hand to introduce you to the Bronco, answer questions, let you test drive, show you on and off-road capabilities, technology, accessories, etc. And remember, this is a sales team that does not work on commission. They're just there to educate you, answer questions, and to introduce you to a really cool vehicle. It's one of the many reasons why people love doing business with Two Rivers Ford, and it's why they're the South's most trusted Ford dealer. So go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. Okay, let's go to the chat. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Should the Tennessee Titans consider moving Jeffery Simmons and drafting a rookie defensive tackle to replace him? Richie says, no. Kendall says, do it. Do it. In the Emperor voice. I'm trying to do my best Emperor voice there. Not great. Sure. Why not at this point, says Billy. Yeah, trade Jeff to my Jag, says Mr. Know-It-All. Sure, says Louie. What do the Titans get back in return? This is the money question from Jack. We'll come back to this. We will get to this, Jack. So thank you for the question. Yes, if the compensation is legit, trade Simmons, get an extra pick. It's asinine. We are not trading Simmons. Yes, get cheaper and younger depending on the offer. You 100% consider this, says Nick Wright. Jeff is made out to be better than he is, and than he has been the last couple of years. He's injured somewhat often and makes too many boneheaded penalties. That coming from Nick. He doesn't have enough time for a rebuild, from Mr. Know-It-All. If you could trade Simmons for a third, you take it and take Kyle Williams and you replace him with Broughton in the fourth. It's a very interesting comment from Jeffrey Mullins. He's stealing a little bit of my thunder here. So should the Titans do this? Should they consider this? Mike says, hell no. We say yes. Like, we're going back and forth. You know, my initial reaction would have been no. My initial reaction would have been, I think you are more inclined to, like, I'm always more inclined to be like, keep your good players. Keep your good players. But there's a reason I say yes. And it all comes down to me to pick 35. When I look at the Titans' current situation in the 2025 draft, it seems like it's a foregone conclusion to most people that they're going to trade out of pick 35 because naturally you'd like to get another pick in the top 100. I think people will be surprised at the level of play, like the drop in talent from 35 to, 45, wherever you end up dropping to. Easton Freeze and I talked on the A to Z Sports Morning Show earlier today about how, you make a list of guys that you think are going to go in the first round. And for most people, it's about 40 players. And if you're the Titans sitting at 35, one of those guys is going to be available to you. I legitimately think you sitting at 35 might be able to snag a player that is not supposed to still be on the board. And it might be exactly what you need in your rebuild. You also, like, an aspect of doing a rebuild is accepting the fact that some of these great players who we love, who are good, who are also making a lot of money, are not actually going to be worth hanging on to when you can get younger, cheaper, and build for the future. Jeffery Simmons in 2 or 3 years, when he's coming to the end of his contract, is not going to have nearly the same value to you as a defensive tackle that you draft this year if you get it right. And certainly maybe not if you're talking about not drafting at 35, right? Because if the Titans, let's just say the Titans are motivated to get another top 100 pick, that means they're motivated to trade out of 35, which means you're sacrificing picking a player at number 35 overall. Maybe that's Luther Burden. Maybe that's James Pierce. Maybe it's Donovan Ezeraku, right? All players that I really like, that I think would make the Titans much better. But you don't get a chance to draft them if you trade out of 35. Unless you trade Simmons. So it's not just a 1-for-1. It's not just you trade Simmons for a second-round pick, and whatever player you take in that with that second-round pick is, your 1-for-1 trade for Simmons. It's also trading Simmons for the ability to stay at 35 and pick a player of the caliber that you want. And so I ask the question as another follow-up here. I would love to see this, because obviously anytime you talk about a trade, what do the Titans get back in return? And real quick, I want to say too, Louis, I hear you. Tired of rebuilding. It's time to play. I agree with you, right? You lose a lot of football games, and enough is enough. But as Devin says, I don't think the Titans have actually rebuilt, and I think that's their problem here. I don't think that they've bit the bullet and committed to losing football in order to build it up correctly. Year over year, they've tried to do this patchwork thing. They've held on to Derrick Henry for a year too long. They've held on to players for 1 year too long. They've thrown out a veteran Ryan Tannehill to start games for them so that they can go 7-10. And then they're not drafting high enough to actually get a quarterback to replace him. They're not drafting high enough to actually get the left tackle of the future that they need until J.C. Latham, I suppose. They've done this the wrong way, trying to cling to that 2019 season, that 2021 season. They had magic with Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill, and that was awesome. But what they failed to do is recognize that that team wasn't around anymore. They didn't have that roster, and that it was okay to rebuild and build it back up and try to be quick with it. They've tried to cling and get one last gasp out of that core, and it has set them back. And Rand Carthon did the same thing last year. He went out and paid Ridley, and he traded for Snead, and he paid Quandre Diggs, and he paid Chido Awuzie. He made all these moves under the idea that, you know, we're not going to just be bad this year. We're going to try and make a push. And you were bad anyway. And then you got a bunch of contracts on the books that you had to get rid of with the new GM. Maybe it's time to actually get a hard reset and start building young and cheap. And the good news is you have the first overall pick to go and get a quarterback. That's the missing piece for most of the teams that do this. And the Titans have a leg up on most teams that are already here, right? You have the number 1 overall pick. If they like Cam Ward, they like Cam Ward. You have your guy, and you build around him. But old veterans, guys on big contracts, like, the more of those that you have right now, I'm not sure what good that's doing for you in the future. You need to be thinking right now, if I'm the Titans, I think about, how do I get this team rocking as an AFC contender in 2027? That's not to say they can't win in 2025. It's not to say they can't win in 2026. But I think you get young, controllable. You set the foundation this year. Next year, you try to build it a little bit more. You're trying to win more games, and you've got money. You spend a little bit of money, and then that new stadium opens in 2027, and all hell breaks loose. You are pushing all the chips in. Year 3 of Cam Ward. Let's go try and make a Super Bowl. And you make that new building, you open it loud. But you do have the danger, if you are not fully committed to building it that way now, you have the danger of setting yourself up to fail and not be at where you need to be in 2027 when that new building opens. So all of that to say, if you decide to entertain a Jeffery Simmons trade, what do the Titans get back in return? And my question for you, what price would be enough for you to support a deal? What does that return have to be? Let's say he gets traded in the next week and a few days, leading up to the 2025 draft or during the 2025 draft. What would the return on a Jeffery Simmons deal need to be in order for you to be feeling pretty good about it? I think it's a tough question. It's a tough question. It's tough to accept and think about the idea of like a homegrown talent leaving, but I'm curious to see what you guys all have to say. While you guys let me know exactly what you're feeling there, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about my friends over at True Mav Fitness. True Mav Fitness, they're located in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout is ever recycled or repeated at TrueMath. They've got personal training, group fitness classes, memberships that also offer an open gym. So TrueMath Fitness, that's the place to go. Sign up for your workout, TrueMathFitness.com, and a first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. I'm also going to tell you about my guy, Bart Durham. Bart Durham injury law. Yeah, Bart Durham. Your big truck wreck is their fight for justice at Bart Durham Injury Law, because a crash can change your life forever. They're here to help. Only a phone call away, 24/7, legal questions answered. You deserve to be paid. That's the bottom line. They've got attorneys available to meet with you wherever is most convenient, including virtually. Blair Durham is a Marine veteran. They're located in Capitol View in Nashville, but they can help anybody in Tennessee or Kentucky that's been in an auto accident. So visit the website bartdurham.com for current news, blogs, and to contact or live chat. bartdurham.com. That's how you get in touch with them. All right. What is the price that you're okay with the Jeffery Simmons trade? A second and a fourth from Brandon Connor, a second rounder and a third rounder from Richie G, a second round pick from EB Titan, a third this year, and at least a fifth that could become a fourth next year from Randy, a third or better. Hypothetically, Jackson is asking for a first, but he's not accepting anything less than a second. A second from Kyle, a second from Aubrey, a 2 this year or a 3 this year and next. Because of his salary, it's a third or a fourth from Brad. Second and a third. We already have enough day 3 picks. Second this season, third next season, second and a trade to the NFC from Aubrey. Maybe you want to not see Jeff all that often. That'd be good. Second and a third. I would like a second or 2 threes. First and a second. That's too rich. You're not going to get that. I think it's realistic to think you could get a second rounder. Maybe it's a 3 and a future pick, right? Maybe it's a 3 in 2025, and then you get, a fourth next year, third and a fourth. Maybe it's a second rounder this year. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think that would be where I'm at. Like if you traded Jeff and you just got a third round pick, I might be a little underwhelmed. I'd probably not love it. I think if you asked me right now, like, all right, you can trade Jeffery Simmons for a third rounder or just keep Jeff, I'd just keep Jeff because the money's not doing you any harm. You don't need the cap space. So keep the better player. The third round, you start to get a little borderline on like it being a crapshoot with players. There's less high-end talent there. It's more like, all right, how good at evaluating are you? But the second round, you can get a legitimate dude, especially depending where the second round is. If I just look at the consensus big board, which granted is not everything, but I mean, you've got Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State. Darius Alexander, Toledo defensive tackle at 52. Xavier Watts, a safety that the Titans have had a top 30 visit with. Princely Umanmielen, edge rusher out of Ole Miss that I love, who's at 55 on the consensus big board. Caleb Johnson, big impact running back. Jack Sawyer, TJ Sanders, defensive tackle. These are all guys in the 50 to 60 range. So you're talking about a back-end second-round pick there. I like that. Anything you can get on top of that, if you're talking second and then some, cool. Chosen wants to know, Sam, does Big Jeff want to be traded? I'm late to the party. No, is the short answer, or at least we don't know. I'm not pretending to know if Jeffery Simmons wants out or not, but I do think it could make sense given the fact that he's 28. The Titans are a couple years away. It could make sense for him to want to go somewhere and compete. So I don't know what's going on in Jeff's world right now. He signed an extension here for a reason. I'm sure he likes Tennessee. Also, the money was pretty good too, but a lot of his friends are gone now. Harold's gone, Derek's gone, KB is gone, Mike Vrabel's gone. A lot of guys that Jeff had a good relationship with are not with the Titans anymore. So I just think it is worth considering that maybe this is worth considering for the Titans. So, yeah, you can be a no on Sawyer, right? I'm not saying all those guys are home runs, but there are players available in that second round range that I like a lot where I would be comfortable if that was the return. Food for thought. All this is to say, don't be stunned if this happens over the next week, 10 days or so. I'm just trying to put it on the radar for Titans fans out there. Another thing I'm going to put on your radar is I'm going to talk about a player at 35 that is a draft reach that actually might happen for the Titans. I am talking about wide receiver Kyle Williams, a former teammate of Cam Ward at Washington State. You guys have probably heard the name, right? Kyle Williams, consensus big board. Again, just goes to show that it is not everything, but it does have a general idea of where guys are valued. He's at 91. He is at 91. So, valued in round 3. But if you were to read his draft profile, he is given a round 2 grade, one of the fastest risers of the class, and some people like him as their favorite day 2 wide receiver. Gonna play some of those highlights. You watch some Kyle Williams tape over at Washington State from this past year while I tell you a little bit about him. Ran an even 4.4 flat in the 40 at the combine. 5'11", 190 pounds. So, a little bit undersized, but looks to be more of like a slot guy. He does have what they consider alignment versatility. The overview from NFL.com says he's a 5th-year senior with alignment versatility and home run potential. Williams will never be tabbed as sure-handed, but he can separate deep and create big plays, which could make the catch issues he has easier to swallow. Spoiler alert, struggles sometimes with catching. He eliminates pursuit angles as a catch and run artist and gets respectful cushions, allowing for easy comeback throws. His lack of route running fundamentals limits his tree, but that should be correctable with work. He has good feet. Williams' subpar hands lower his floor, but teams looking to add a playmaker could have him queued up as a future wide receiver 2 or 3. Some of his strengths: very fast, vertical separation, outstanding deep ball tracking, gets to body adjustments quickly, capable of opening easy throwing windows when working across the hashes. He's dynamic with the ball, creating chunk plays. Look at how he moves right here after the catch. People really like this guy. Good contact balance. I've heard him talked about as one of the better, craftier route runners in the class, even though his tree is not super refined. There are a lot of intangibles there where you could, see that release to the outside right there, and then the speed to make it happen after the release. And again, chemistry with Cam Ward. He played with him at Washington State. They are former teammates. So while the weaknesses on NFL.com say his routes feature excessive vertical drift, some inefficient footwork, and he lacks frame and strength for contested catches, more people in the pre-draft process are getting bullish on Kyle Williams and what he is able to do. So much so that I recently saw a mock draft from CBS Sports that had the Tennessee Titans selecting Cam Ward number 1 overall and pulling the trigger on Kyle Williams at 35 overall. Cam Ward number 1, Kyle Williams at 35. Again, if you're looking at the consensus big board, maybe a reach, but maybe not with the way that he is trending. So I ask you all very simply, I'm sure you've heard this name over and over and over again in pre-draft discussions. Are you in or out on the Titans selecting Kyle Williams at number 35? If Friday rolls around, next Friday rolls around, the commissioner gets up there and he says, Kyle Williams, with everything that you know, his experience with Cam Ward, the chemistry that they have there, the fact that there are some downsides and some weaknesses, but people are getting bullish on him. How are you feeling if that's the pick at 35. Curious to see what your reaction is. And while you guys let me know, I'm going to let you know who I am absolutely in on, and that is my guy, Gary Ashton. Gary Ashton Real Estate. He's the official realtor of the Nashville Predators. So get the intel. Don't sell without the intel. Get your dream address without the stress at GaryAshton.com. Okay. Let's look at what the chat has to say. We got an in from, I don't know how to say that. We'll call it A. EB Titan is out. Devin is in. Charles is out. Trey is in. Billy is out. Frederick is out. Doug is out. Chosen is out. Derek says out at 35. I can fade a trade back or up into the third. Louis is out. Rob wants Jack Betch instead. Kendall says out. Doesn't want the team to lead the league in drops with him and Ridley. Yeah, you are setting yourself up for, frustrated Titans fans. How many times last year did we just shake our heads at Ridley dropping open balls? And that's even going to be heightened, our reactions to those things. When you have a guy like Cam Ward at quarterback, we're going to, want his receivers to perform for him. So two guys that can't catch, maybe, or at least can struggle with, I won't say they can't catch, but they can struggle with catching the easy ones sometimes. Richie is in. Devin said he can't be worse than Treylon. Newsflash, he's not, okay? But there's a lot of these guys that are better than Treylon Burks, so that's not the standard. We're not doing that. Mike Hobbs says he's out. Jack says he's out. Troy is double out. Rob is out. I am out too. I like Kyle Williams. I can get excited about the pick. To me, 35, as I brought up earlier, is a pick that you need to shoot for, like a guy who should have gone in the first round and didn't. If we look at the history of the draft, I'm actually curious now, so I'm going to do some bad live show, and I'm going to look up stuff in the moment. 35 in the second round in last year's draft was Ruke or Horo. There was a big trade up from the Falcons to go and get Ruke. 34 was Ladd McConkey. 33 was Keon Coleman. Example, wide receivers that should have gone in the first round probably, or many people had mocked as potential first round guys. They hung around long enough and a team pulled the trigger on them at the beginning of round 2. 2023, the beginning of the second round, Joey Porter, Will Levis, two guys, first round projections, didn't go in the first round. Sam Laporta, Michael Mayer. Weapons, skill positions, big premium position players that didn't go in the first round. That to me is where you're looking at 35. Emeka Egbuka probably won't be there, but that's an example of a pick that you need to target. Luther Burden probably won't be there. That's an example of a pick that you need to target. Let's look at some other names here. Donovan Ezeraku, if he's there, love that. Love that call. Josh Connerly, maybe you're looking to add another tackle. I don't know. James Pierce, I could get on board with that. I could certainly get on board with that at 35. Nick Scorton, an edge rusher. I could get on board with that. There are options here of guys who are potentially first-round prospects that fall, that you jump, and that's not Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams is like you're happy with him if you get him at 50, at pick 50. You're happy with Kyle Williams. Once that first tier of all the first-rounders and potential borderline first-rounders goes, once you get to that next tier of receivers where you don't really know and it's anybody's preference, you can sell me on Kyle Williams. I don't know if I love it at 35. So, I'd rather take Jalen Noel or Jaden Higgins at 35. Me personally, I would, than Kyle Williams. So I like him, but not there. And I'm hoping that that's not the case. Chosen wants to know, am I still Team Shador? Have you been converted to the Ward train? Look, I still believe Shedeur Sanders would be a better pick for the Titans than Cam Ward. I'm not delusional enough to think that that is going to be the pick. The Titans are going to take Cam Ward. I've accepted that. I've said that multiple times on the morning show. Everything that I've heard is pointing to them taking Ward. Okay. But I'm also not going to do something. I had a big rant on the morning show that I don't need to revisit, but I think a lot of people do this. Everybody does this. Media, fans, you name it, right? We have hindsight about our opinions of prospects after we understand what reality is. So we're here to criticize Cam Ward. Oh, wait, the Titans are taking Cam Ward. Now he's Patrick Mahomes. This guy is Steve McNair now that he's going to be a Titan at number 1 overall. It's garbage. Like, it's all garbage. The evaluations that we have, we need to stick to. So I'm not out on Cam Ward being a good player. I would prefer Shedeur Sanders. I think he has a much higher floor. But the Titans are going to take a swing on Cam Ward. And I'm hoping, the same way all of you are hoping, that it works out and that they are right. Because if it works out, it's going to be really, really fun to talk about and really fun to watch and really good for the city of Nashville for the foreseeable future. So I haven't changed my opinion on Ward versus Sanders and what I would do. But I also, my opinion has changed on what I think the Titans will do. It's going to be Ward on Thursday morning or Thursday evening at first overall. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up. Let's get to Gone Viral. I don't know what we got today. I got Robert, who's been cooking something up. So I'm excited for this. Robert, you with me?
What's going on, Sam? I did want to answer both of your questions for the day.
Yeah. Hit me with it.
I would be interested in trading Jeffery Simmons. I would look at a team like Chicago. Chicago's in its last year of multiple second-round picks from the Panthers. So you could argue for 39 and 41. But I would be a little greedy and say, I want that 72 pick, and I will give you both of our fourth-round picks. It'd give you an extra 2 picks in the top 100. And they have the money, right? Coming into free agency, they were Scrooge McDuck jumping into that pile of coins. There's no way they've spent all of it. And the good thing about Jeff's contract, it doesn't hurt you with trade value because it's super acquirable. Jeff got signed before all of these other dudes got 100 plus at DT. So
no, Jeff is relatively affordable. Like, I don't think it's a bad deal relative to the market. I would say the Chicago front, they did sign Grady Jarrett to a 1-year deal. So they have Javon Dexter and Grady Jarrett and Andrew Billings as like kind of a run stopper there. So their defensive interior, I think the Bears are more likely to go. Like, if the Bears are going to make a splash, I think they want to go get an edge to help out Montez Sweat. But also, like, I've heard the Bears maybe could be in the market to draft Mason Graham. So I think that they're open to a defensive tackle too. They want to build the trenches, and that would be fun. Jeff could go play with Kevin Byard in Chicago, so he'd get one of his boys back at least.
I forgot I was talking to Chicago Sam. Sam was like, hold on now, player. Don't be.
No,
they ain't traded for no.
Sign me up ×2 for that one. For Titans' sake, let's get more draft picks to talk about.
Just trying to get those picks, baby. Come on.
And I am ready. Like, the Bears are the example right now. Like, this year's Bears are where next year's Titans need to be, right? Like, the Bears have the quarterback that they feel good enough about. They built a couple of pieces that you like them. You don't love them. Like, the Bears are nobody's favorite in the NFC. They might not even make the playoffs, but you're intrigued. And the hope is that if there's enough things that go right for the Bears this year and the first year under Ben Johnson, they're sending it next season. And like, the Bears are like, damn it, let's go win a Super Bowl. And I think the Titans right now are trying to do what the Bears were last year, which is like the year 1 of Caleb Williams, year 1 of Cam Ward, see what you've got, establish where on the roster with all these young players you need to build, and then start building year over year. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
And a lot like the Bears, to your second question, they gave him Rome Odunze. A lot of people are inferring they should give Cam Ward Kyle Williams.
Oh, well, I was actually going to do this. Yeah, good call there, because I forgot to throw this up with the Kyle Williams thing. this is a trend now. Caleb Williams, 1st overall. Rome Odunze, 9th overall. Bryce Young, 1st overall. The Panthers' 2nd draft pick in that same draft used on Jonathan Mingo. Kenny Pickett, 20th overall. Their 2nd round pick. George Pickens. Trevor Lawrence was drafted, and they gave out a fat stack of a bag to Christian Kirk in free agency. Bengals drafted Joe Burrow, T. Higgins in the 2nd round. So we have seen, and I get that out of here. Where are we at here? Yeah, there we go. This is what happens when I touch things.
It's all good.
This is a trend that, and it makes sense why people are thinking that, Cam Ward to the Titans, can the Titans, continue this trend and try to find that receiver to pair with him? It's a good thought. It's a good idea to match up those contracts, but you have to have the right guy fall to you to and I'm not taking Kyle Williams just to take a receiver that Cam Ward knows. Like if Burton or Egbuka are there, I can't get to the podium fast enough to turn those names in.
And that's kind of my reason. I feel like it would be a reach. You would be passing on that. Those first 5 picks in the 2nd round are so premium because the guys that fell out of the first for whatever reason are ripe for the taking. You essentially have a little extra reach into the first. I also have a bugaboo about guys who aren't good at doing a premium position trait. Like if you're a wide receiver and you have trouble catching, I don't like that. If you're a middle linebacker and you've missed a lot of tackles, I don't like that.
Yeah, if you can't do the easy thing, right? It's
you can get open all day, but if you can't catch the damn ball, it doesn't do any good.
It's like the Billy Bean quote in Moneyball, which just provides us with so many great quotes because it's a great movie. But when he's talking to the scout, he says, "Oh, if he's a good hitter, why doesn't he hit good?" Like it's like if he's a good linebacker, why can't he tackle? If he's a good receiver, why doesn't he catch the football? If he's a good quarterback, why does he throw a bunch of interceptions? If you're good at the job, you should probably be able to do the easiest part of the job.
Right. There's a player in this year's draft named Billy Bowman, who's a safety out of Oklahoma. And I really like Billy Bowman because he's got a nose for the ball. He's always got his hands on it, super aware. But it's like Billy Bowman's biggest flaw was he never had less than 20% missed tackles in a single season. And it's like, woof, dude, half of your job is tackling. That almost might be a no-go for me, dog. So
it's the fun part of all these the draft evaluations, right? We always skew optimistic. So it's like we're looking at the measurables, right? Wow, killer athlete. Just triggers downhill like crazy. Absolute ball hawk. A nose for where the ball's going. Excellent in coverage. Can struggle with tackles. Misses about 25 to 30% of the tackles. And then you're like, whoa, wait. Why did we skip over that part? That's important. We have to.
We talk so much about the good stuff. Why are we glad? He had great guy, goes to church, has a job, hasn't paid his child support in years.
Yeah,
as a upstanding member of the community. Other than that, and what do you mean?
Yeah, youngest of 4 kids, hardworking family, always considered blue collar guy, leader in the locker room.
Addicted to heroin.
65% drop rate, goes to church every Sunday, good route runner. Wait, nope, sorry, go back there. You missed something. The part where the guy doesn't catch the football. We should talk about that one.
Right.
Welcome to the draft, right?
Those are my bugaboos, man. So not to hate. I don't hate Kyle Williams. I just think 35 is a little rich, where you could potentially be getting a great player who fell out of the first.
Yeah, I mean, if you trade, exactly what I'm saying, man. If you trade out of 35 and then you get, pick 42 and pick, I don't know, 70-something, and then Kyle Williams, your pick at 70-something, I'm through the moon. I'm overjoyed at that. I mean, even if you trade back to 45 and you take him at 45, because he's going to go in the 2nd round based on the type of hype that Kyle Williams is getting right now. But if you take him at a different point in the 2nd round, you can really sell me on it, and I'm in. But I don't know. Maybe I'm optimistic and too optimistic about what might be there at 35 for him. But I'm crossing my fingers that somebody that's not supposed to be there falls.
Somebody who's not supposed to be here. They were excommunicated from sports media, but revived from the dead by Barstool was John Gruden. And I always loved his quarterback class. I've always appreciated how he kind of helped you learn. I never played anything like close to this level. So when someone's explaining like 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, and the talks getting in and out of it, I love that. But what I love more than anything, John Gruden doesn't give a damn.
Ever have a cat come in your house and just shit all over the floor?
I've never had that happen.
Don't like it, man.
Hate
You
it.
got to let these cats know. Hey, when we're in snug, watch a cat, watch a cat. Be very sensitive about the cats. Linemen got to get out on a bang. Backs got to scan out, pass protection. But I want you to be alert for these cats. Now, if we ever sense a double corner cat, you can smell these things out. You start hearing these defensive guys, woo, 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 woo. They make their signals. They can't help themselves. They're all fired up. Cougar. Like a cat, not a cougar that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be.
Not exactly.
Yeah. You cat, cougar. It's a form of a cat, you see?
Yes, sir.
Cougar, New York. I want to run right into the cat. What's automatic front coverage mean?
It means if we're in a snug, the defensive coordinator might have that automatic check.
You ever met Luke Kuechly?
I've never met him.
You think you're sharp? You ought to meet him. That's some bitch good. He could be a defense coordinator tonight.
I don't know if he just has like a little shot before, but
Dude,
I bet he's like that around the clock, dude.
He is wired. I don't know how into like the Barstool lore you are, but one of my favorite things has been John Gruden discovered rap music essentially just recently.
Yeah.
And so there was like a video of him just sitting in a dark office, which is his, like they rolled out the red carpet to get him at Barstool. They gave him a massive office, all this stuff. And he's sitting in this dark office just listening to Migos. And he walks out and
man.
Yeah, and he goes, I heard about the Migos, man. You hear about Takeoff. Yeah, he's all into it. He's wired up. Now I saw a video the other day. Somebody said, you like NLE Chop? He goes, oh, NLE? Yeah, I like him. and he, I don't know. There's something endearing about the guy. I'm sorry. He's a lovable guy.
You could never make me hate John Gruden because y'all pulled some emails he sent to somebody. I'm sorry.
And by the way, listening to that, what was that? Seth Hennigan? I don't even know who he was talking
That was
to
Seth Hennigan, Memphis quarterback Seth Hennigan.
Yeah, I mean he's listening to a 2-minute clip of him talking to Seth Hennigan. I'm not shocked that he's emailed some stuff that it's like, we keep that one in the drafts, John. The guy lets it rip. He lets it rip.
I love the way the clip just started. Like, you ever had a cat come in your house and shit all on the floor? Like, I can't say that I have. You don't like it. It's like
sometimes the dude is wired 24/7, and occasionally things come out of his mouth that maybe we would like to keep that in, but hilarious nonetheless. I'm glad that the Gruden QB class is back, and to your point, it is my favorite thing that John Gruden does in these QB classes is when he rattles off a real hard play combo. You can tell he's trying to stump a guy. You can tell he's really trying to flex a little bit. He's like, let me get a Cougar New York X2Y scat back zebra on go on 2 on flat. And then he's like, can I get a little ribeye off the bone? And then he's like, all right, now go draw it. And then a guy draws it, and you can just see like he falls in love. You can see that he's like, oh.
If I would have kept playing that clip, he said that he's like, man, I might draft you a little higher than I thought before you come in here. You're pretty smart. Like, it's just
listening to John Gruden talk about like Andrew Luck is, Andrew Luck came around and you had 25 John Grudens in the NFL at the time and in head coaching positions. And these guys meet with Andrew Luck and they just listen to this Stanford nerd who can memorize these plays, goes and draws it on a board. And they're all like, oh, like, wow, you're impressive.
Mr. and Mrs. Luck. It's like when he's writing on top of his front of his journal every day.
John Luck. Luck.
Yeah, right. Got a ring to it. Well, hell yeah, man. That's gone viral. Appreciate it, Sam.
All right. Well, that was great stuff. A great show tonight, as promised. Talking Jeff, talking little Kyle Williams, and some John Gruden. What more could you ask for on a Tuesday night? Buck Rising will be back tomorrow morning. Easton Freeze and Austin Stanley on the A to Z Sports Morning Show, and keep it locked on AtoZSports.com as well for all of our written Titans content leading up to the draft. Till next time, tighten up. We will see you later.